Welcome to the Empowered Business Podcast, where strategy meets action. I'm Monica Froese, and I'm here to help you create, sell, and scale digital products the smart way, using AI and proven strategies to build a sustainable, profitable business. If you're ready to turn your expertise into digital products that sell and eventually grow into a thriving digital shop, you're in the right place. Each week, I break down real-world tactics, unfiltered insights, and bold business moves. Because building a digital product business should be sustainable, scalable, and designed for long-term success. Let's ditch the fluff, leverage AI to work smarter, and turn your expertise into a thriving digital empire on your terms. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Empowered Business Podcast. Today, I have another interview for you from someone who has already been on the podcast, Jordan Gill. She was on episode 42, where we talked all about her VIP day strategy. And today she came back to talk about a concept that is new to me, I did not know a lot about, and I think is super fascinating. And I think you'll find it fascinating as well. It's all about micro AI tools. And these are tools that you can develop without any knowledge of coding. And I got some really cool ideas talking to her, and I bet you will too. So before we dive in, I just want to tell you a little bit about Jordan. Jordan is a multi-seven-figure business strategist of over 10,000 students and on a mission to help high-achieving business owners prioritize rest without sacrificing revenue. She is currently building her Microtool empire, which includes conversion-boosting apps at a one-time lifetime price. When she isn't spreading the gospel of highly efficient business practices, she enjoys working on 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles or traveling the world with her husband and bonus son. So let's dive in and hear everything that Jordan has to tell us about this Microtool empire that she's building, because I bet you're going to walk away with some really cool ideas. Jordan, welcome back to the Empowered Business Podcast. I can't remember what episode you were on originally, but it was a long time ago and several years ago. So welcome back. I'm very excited to have you. Before we kick off, I always like to ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your entrepreneur journey.
Yes. So I'm so honored to be back, by the way. And I am Jordan Gill. I founded System Save Me back in 2016. I'm celebrating 9 years recently, and just the wild ride that has been. And I've iterated because I like trying new things. I started with building systems for people, focusing on that. And then about 4 years in, then I was sharing about how I built systems for people. And the business model was through VIP days. And so then I was on that journey where I was sharing with people about VIP days, all of that. And that was just like the wildest business ride of my life. Just really, it was so fun when I look back at it. From a team perspective, it was a lot. But getting to see people share their expertise in a single day is just so fun, and ties into then what I'm doing now. So I did the VIP day stuff and then took a year and a half-ish of like playing, tinkering, seeing what I wanted to do next, and started getting tapped into AI a little bit, just being able to take your expertise and instead of servicing it for a day, how do we create a tool that automates it for your users or clients or things like that? It feels very similar to VIP days, oddly enough, but just in a different format, and was playing with that. And then recently in the last 6 months, I tapped into this like very, I don't even say underground world because it's starting to bubble up now, but this world of vibe coding is what it's called. And essentially it's where instead of having hundreds of thousands of dollars to create these tools, you actually can build them yourself using AI. And you don't have to have developer knowledge, which is banana pants, because that was always my hang up, was just like, I'm not a coder. I have so many ideas that I could build and share with the world to make things easier or faster. And that was always a hang up. And so now with vibe coding, and there's literally so many tools. I'll share my favorite, my most like beginner friendly one in my opinion. And so now I host these 2-day intensives that are a group, and we actually build your Microtool together. So vibe coding is what the dude bros say, and I'm structuring my own little niche within there called Microtools. And those are where, again, you think of 1 to 2 things that your people want to have automated or want to have a service for or want to have, but there's no tool out there that does it. You may have like wobbled together 6 different tools to do what you want to have done. But like now you can just build that. And that's wild.
Okay. So I told you I've never heard the term coding
Vibe
before you, until
coding.
you, I should say. So vibe coding is the what is actually making the micro tools. Am I following this?
Totally. Yes. So vibe coding is where, again, basically you just share your vibes on a chat thread that is AI backed, and then it builds it for you.
What?
It's pretty
Oh,
fun.
okay. Let's start with I literally just put my hand on my head and went, wait, what? This is a thing?
Brain breaking. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So many questions. Can we please start
Yes.
with the tools? I think the one you're going to say is Lovable. Did I make this up? Yes. Okay. I followed a little bit then. That makes me feel proud.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Explain what Lovable is.
Yes. One, like all the other tools you can tell are development first, meaning that you have to have a developer background to understand. They're named like Cursor, Bolt, Versal, Replit. What are those? I don't even know what's happening. So then what was smart of the Lovable people, which they've only been around for a year and a half, not even that long, and they have like hundreds of thousands of users already. It's taken off. It was smart of them to name it something like Lovable because it's way more approachable, way more like friendly, and just how they have oriented themselves in the marketplace is so smart because not only can you do the AI coding and all that stuff with Lovable, but then the next big hurdle is, okay, now I got to manage users and now I got to figure out forgotten passwords and all the techie gunk. And they were so smart. They actually did a deep integration with a tool called Superbase, which again has a very like nice, friendly, squishy name. And it's great because you can literally build a tool and run it, like as in running it, meaning authenticating users, logins, all of that. You can run it for $30 a month.
Wow. Okay.
Literally.
With unlimited users.
Yep. Unlimited
And
users. Yeah.
And are we talking about tools that you're building that people are paying one time and they're paying through this like software? How is that? How does that
Correct.
work?
The payment side. So you can do it where they pay through, if you use like Stripe or PayPal through Thrivecard or Samcard or whatever, you can totally do it there and then just route them over there. Or you can also just get a direct Stripe API and so have it be embedded into the tool. And yeah, like you could basically just Stripe will still have its same fees, right? Just through the API, but you can have it like fully functioning outside with connections to Stripe API or Stripe. Who is it? I think Stripe is their main one. They're working on PayPal and something else. But yeah, you can have it like all within the app. Where the pricing goes up is on mainly the Superbase side. The back end is storage. So if you have a tool that is video heavy, then your pricing is going to go up because they're having to literally store more data. But if you have a ton of users, but you're not really storing anything in it, like you can keep it at that price point. Storage. Yep.
Okay. So what do you teach people to use for the payment gateway?
Yeah. So most people just want to keep their Samcart, Thrivecart. That's what my people have. So they don't normally go the route of embedding the payment inside of there. But again, right now we're limited to just Stripe as they're working through all the other ones. If you have a love-hate relationship with Stripe, then just use something else. But what I love to see is the creativity that comes from it, because once you let go of the how, and what's interesting about this tool is it thinks for you. It works the opposite of ChatGPT or some of these other AI tools in the sense that it wants to do the work for you. It wants you to basically put the smaller the sentences and the less you say, the better it works.
Okay,
Which is so it's okay. I'm having like working with ChatGPT and then working with Lovable, like my brain has to do a little bit of Rubik's Cube. But what's cool is, again, it's learning so much from the user base of just, I don't want to say there's not a new idea, but just no one is really creating a tool that hasn't already been built or done. So what's cool is if you just say, hey, I want to build a calendar app, or hey, I want to build a community app, or hey, I want to build a whatever, it has this general idea and structure to understand that if you're doing a community app, you're going to have profiles. You're going to need to have a feed of sorts. You may have an area for courses. You may have an event schedule. So it'll put all of that together with you just saying, I want to build a community app for people who are watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives or whatever. Like, and it will literally just whip it up. There was this awesome one. One of my favorite case studies is this gal who she hosts book clubs, and then she also knows a lot of other book club hosts. So she wanted to create and did create an app where it's for book club hosts to not only choose their next book. So she actually sourced New York Times bestseller list, Washington Post, all the ones. And each individual community could upvote and downvote the next book that they wanted to read. They could rate the book so other book clubs could see what other book clubs are rating things. It could also upload if you're doing like snack, like different people bring snacks every time or whatever. Like it can upload if people have dietary restrictions or preferences or things like that. So that way, whoever has the snacks can just see what the dealio is and make suggestions or whatnot. They also had, I think, where if you wanted to like open up your book club to the public and allow others to come, you also could have a place to do like showcase the book club that you're doing and the book that you're joining so people could book club hop. And I was like, what is happening? And it's so dope because she built all of that. It's the coolest.
Okay.
I know I said a lot. I get it.
You're telling me
that
she built this
Yeah.
by just typing into a bot essentially. And
Yes.
then the bot built it.
Yes. So she said, I want to build an app for book club hosts to better host their communities. And so it built something that it thought, it added the profiles, it added some different stuff. And then I want to add a page where it's sourcing from New York Times bestseller, Washington Post, et cetera, et cetera. And so then it not only built the page, but then it said, hey, you're going to have to go and get the New York Times API for this. Here's where you can do it. Number 1, click this link. Number 2, make a login. Number 3, find this page and look for this code that's however many digits long. Take the code, add it to the backend. So it literally walks you through. If it can't do something, it can't just go find the API key for you, which API key just means how two softwares talk to each other. So that's it. And so it's like a phone number for tools. And it can't go do that for you, but what it can't do, it gives you the instructions for. So it really is like paint by numbers, but with apps.
How fast did she build this?
Within our 2-day intensive.
Okay. And I need to know, has she sold this?
I need to follow up with her. She was in our March event, so I need to go and follow up with her and see how it's going. So I'll have to see.
Okay, so now I'm just trying to envision, just so I'm following. It's built, but the platform that her customers are going to log in on is the Square.
Superbase, but it's integrated to Lovable. So everything's in Lovable. You don't have to leave it. It's like a push of a button and you say, okay, add this $10 a month. And
now are these embeddable apps?
They are.
Into Thinkific, into a lesson in my course.
Yep. You can create chatbots and stuff.
Jordan, remember when you were doing stuff like this like a couple years ago? And what's the platform you were using?
I was using Bubble for that. It still required a developer, which now Bubble's gotten better and you don't necessarily, but yeah.
This sounds, based on when we talked about Bubble back then, this sounds like 1,000 times better in my...
Yes, but it didn't exist.
It didn't exist.
So I was like, but yes, it's learning so fast, just like ChatGPT is learning a lot and all of these different tools, but it is specializing in coding. Like it's going so well that Figma, which is like a design tool for apps that developers use, like Figma's like suing Lovable. Like they're trying to stop Lovable because they're growing so fast. They are making things so much easier for people and it's naturally pissing some people off.
Okay, I have an exciting question for my knowledge too. Okay, I really started to dabble in the custom GPTs for different things in my programs, okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to give you an example of a custom GPT I'm working on right now, and I'm curious if you can translate this to if it could be a standalone app and like what the difference between the app would be to the custom GPT. So I teach people how to create and sell their digital products. And I love data like you do, data nerd, and I can ingest a lot of data and I can calculate it, and then I'm able to spit it back out in a way that makes sense to people. So in other words, let's say that I was helping people audit their funnel. They would give me their numbers and I'd be like, I could peel back the onion and be like, this is telling us that, and this is what you need to change. And this is what you need to work on. But all of that prior to AI had to come out of my brain. And so I've seen thousands of people's funnels. So over the years, I came up with a pretty solid logic of these numbers mean this. And then we would layer on stuff from Hotjar data, heat maps, and watching people go through our funnels. Honestly, I love ChatGPT because basically what I told it is, this is all the information I know about building the funnel. This is when you're seeing data reflecting like the opt-in page numbers here or the tripwire numbers there, and you mirror it up with the heat maps and you can see where people are dropping off the page. Like all of that used to have to manually come out of my brain and then think about this. So I could put it in the course, but people who are not good with data and stuff, they still really needed me to give their final stamp of approval that like, this is what I should change in my funnel. So that was a lot of work on my part.
Yeah.
Now I built a custom GPT that incorporates my logic and basically it shoots back. And sometimes ChatGPT comes back with better answers than I would have. I just audited one of my own funnels and I was like, yo, that would have taken me like several hours before. And it's just, here's what to change. I'm like, and it was right. As I peeled back the onion myself, I'm like, it gave me the right answer.
Yeah.
Is something like this translatable into an app?
Yeah. So would you want it to be able to do the heat map? Are you ideally wanting to create a heat mapping tool that then can translate it?
That would be amazing. Okay. So ready? Oh,
okay.
Here's one of the biggest things I want to solve.
Right.
And if you think that this tool could solve this, I'm literally going to get off this call and tool.
And
I know, you got me so excited. I'm like, the biggest disconnect I have right now is that, so we still have to pull our data from because when you're running a funnel, data's coming from all different places. Our emails, our checkout system, it's coming from our landing page. So we have to aggregate our data together. So I have a funnel tracking spreadsheet, very detailed, but it's not hard to pull the data. You just have to go to places to pull the data, plug it in, and all the calculations in my spreadsheet shoot out your conversion numbers and all that stuff. So we have that piece. Then it's fairly easy to download your heat maps out of Hotjar. But here's the gap. And I haven't been able to solve for this. Where I have found over the years, some of the most useful data is watching people on the funnel pages, because often the data does tell us the story. Like it does tell us where people are falling off and stuff. And the heat maps tell us another story. People are clicking on the wrong thing, or people are falling off after 25% of the page, but really the meat of the stuff you need them to see is down below. So we have to read. But watching people navigate is a whole different ballgame. Oftentimes I see people like hovering over words and this is what I see a lot. People are scrolling and then they're like, they stop almost like, I don't understand what I just saw. And then they hover over and then like, you can almost see their brains trying to compute. And now they're confused. You have just hit this point that you've confused them. Hotjar doesn't have the ability at this point that I can tell to basically watch the recordings for us and come back with these themes. And that is the most cumbersome thing about analyzing our funnels. Out of all the stuff that ChatGPT and the custom GPT has been able to help us automate, I haven't figured out how to automate me not watching the 100 videos. Even if I'm watching it on hyperspeed, it's still cumbersome and I still have to piece trends together out of my brain. I would love a tool that could watch the people on the website and come back and give me, this is what's happening.
Maybe I would have to do some research, but I know that I did a quick search and there's heat mapping APIs. So if you wanted to create your own Hotjar, you totally could, but you would have to have it be able to watch. There's now different tools that can read videos for context or try to. You would basically have to train that to be like, okay, follow the scroll. And when the scroll stops, take a screenshot of where they stopped. That way it can let you know where people are stopping. And then as far as it would have to obviously be able to follow the mouse cursor, which I don't know if that has a big enough for these context videos, it has a big enough like area, like actual space on a computer for it to be able to track that as easily, because it is browsers like, or cursors like not that big. So maybe and whatnot, just because every day AI is getting better. And so I'm always seeing stuff pop up. So now that I have it on my radar, if I see it, I can let you know.
Would you also say that things that people are creating as custom GPTs can translate into these?
Yeah. A lot of people, some people want to create like a GPT wrapper in Lovable, which is doable and fine and whatnot. Because again, Lovable isn't $20 a month per tool. Lovable is $20 a month for a certain amount of credits that you're using to build. And so if you build one tool 1 month and you use all the $20 a month credits, then next month you could build a whole different tool for $20 a month and your price is still going to stay $20 a month because you're just using the credits for a different tool, just for a different idea. So that's also what's cool is you can say, okay, I'm playing with this one, but then I want to use my credits for this other thing over here. And then I'm going to go back and use the credits for this other thing. So I don't know if Lovable is going to get smart. It'd be like, okay, this chick has 20 projects going on, so we should probably charge her per project versus for credit. But I'm not going to tell them that because I don't want them to do that. But yeah.
Because one of the other things is your custom GPT, whether you put it in the, like their database thing, whatever, you can keep it a private link. In other words, you have to have the link, but once the link's out there, it can be shared. And that is definitely something that's occurred to me. Right now, I'm just kind of, it is what it is. I'm rolling with it.
Yeah.
But it seems like this could be something that could up-level a lot of this logic stuff that I have in my courses and keep it more proprietary, locked down to the users that I really want to be using it. Also, I remember we talked about this when we were talking about the bubble stuff. I remember you said, and I think I still own the domain, and now you've got me thinking about it because you said you could create AI tools that go along with your course that are an upsell.
Yes, 100%.
Have you seen anyone do this successfully?
I've seen anyone do this successfully. That's the key word. I've seen people. It's interesting. I was actually just talking to a few people, actually. There's someone, Andrea Crowder. I don't know if you know who she is. I don't follow her a ton, but now I'm like keeping tabs. Like she just built, interesting enough, she's a coach. So she created, I think it's called Legends AI or something. And it's essentially access to, again, she has so much similar to you and me and everybody, but so much backlog of stuff that like she basically has built her. And so if someone's wanting coaching, they can go to this Legends AI and go to her. Now, what's fascinating is people pay based on when they join. So if you got it the first iteration, you paid for just the first iteration. So then if you want the next iteration of the better version, you have to be upsold into that. And then what's also interesting is she had a kind of lifetime version of just, hey, if you just know that you're going to want the most updated version, you can pay me $5,000.
So we're talking about basically a bot that coaches like her because she's been able to feed it all the information that she's created over the years.
Yeah. And that's just a wrapper. That's just I don't know where she built it. Could be Lovable, could be Bolt, could be wherever. If you have that strong of a base, again, if your people are scared of AI or whatever else, this is going to be a hard sell. But if your people are just like, all I want is like your knowledge and expertise and experience from the last, I think she's been in business, I don't know, 12 years, like then sure, I'll pay for that.
I'm really curious outside of the B2B space. Have you seen this work for B2C at this point?
I haven't seen anybody do it in a way that has been received well. So again, it very much is dependent on are your people feel comfortable, especially the Andrea Crowder model. I feel it's so very specific to, again, if you have all of her courses and stuff are audio courses. And so she's trained them well in that way. And I think that a lot of people would have a harder time doing that because they themselves have been inside their communities. And so then to say, because again, you think about the other day, I just saw a dude interviewing for a job and he was talking to a robot. The robot's, oh, tell me about your job experience. And it's like a hey, Jen, like robot-y looking person. And it's okay. That doesn't seem like the best use case for what we need to be doing with AI, because I get that like HR people are having to do all these interviews, but having this really impersonal person who's not even a person talking to you about your job, like no one wants to sit in that. That sounds awful. And that's actually going to backfire from a hiring perspective. But anyway, I think that you have to know your community. If your community is just, I know, like, I just want access to so and so's brain at any given time because this is what I need. So, for example, what could be interesting is, do you know Becky? Was it Dr. Becky from like Good Parenting?
Yeah.
Okay. So she hasn't done this, but I'm like, she has videos, memberships, all the things. And so what could be interesting is, again, it's not a you're talking to her and you're seeing her face and it's pretend Becky, but just if somebody wanted like a hotline, like a Becky hotline or Good Parenting hotline where it's like middle of the night, baby screaming, this is what's happening. I don't know how to deal with this, or my teenager's being a psychopath, whatever's happening. And you're able to hotline it to Dr. Becky. And because she has a breadth of experience, I don't know how open her people are to AI, but it could be an interesting play for someone like her, and especially a community or a client base that has issues and problems like 24/7. You aren't like, it's not like your kid is like great during the night and then during the day is when they're crazy. It's 24/7. It would be interesting for someone like a Dr. Becky or like something like that to where they could try this. Again, more of a hotline perspective or a chat thread or something like that. But again, in those traditional spaces, people are usually like, oh, I want to text. I'd rather just have a text hotline where it feels like I'm texting her and then text us back. So that also could technically be something you build in Lovable. But I haven't seen anybody be able to go mass market with this kind of situation. As far as the Andrea Crowder example, there's a ton of people who have gone mass market with just a tool. So if you look up, I think it's cal.ai. No, it's like a calorie counter. And it literally will, how do you find it? I don't even know. Anyway, now there's a bunch of them. But this dude, solo founder, built it himself, making at this point 7 figures a month from his app.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if you use Lovable Bolt or whatever, but and it's basically where you take a picture of your food and it counts the calories for you and tells you like what the calories are.
So one of the things I was thinking about with Redefining Mom, like I just did this series of AI mom hacks, and one of them was on meal planning. And
nice.
one of the things, so it starts with you inventory your pantry, your fridge, and all that stuff, and you put it into ChatGPT. So now it has but one of the interesting parts is, so I use this example where I with my custody schedule, I have this 5-5-2-2 rotation. So I'll have 5 days without my kids, and I eat very different when I'm not with my kid. I eat very different than a lot of people because I had weight loss surgery. So I eat very different. I have to eat smaller portions. And I found myself wasting a bunch of stuff when I didn't have the girls. Or then when I was getting them back on like the 2-day stretch, it's like, I'm not doing a full grocery haul because then I was finding myself giving my ex fruits and veggies. I'm like, I can't eat all this. And by the time they come back, it will be bad. So I'm like, this is a lot of waste. So I went to ChatGPT, inventoried everything, and I'm like, here are the stores I shop at. And I said, okay, it's my 5-day stretch without the girls, and I don't want to spend more than $75 in groceries. And it's honestly super helpful. But where I feel like it's falling down is it doesn't have a way to go out and source actual prices at these stores that I shop at. You know what I mean? So it can give me like estimates, because one of the grocery stores I go to is what we would call here the more bougie one. And then there's Aldi, which is like everyone knows is like the cheaper one. But then there's Sam's Club, where buying in bulk, like when's that beneficial to me when I'm alone half the time? And it'd be really cool to have an app that could in real time source, like, these are the ingredients she needs. Where should she buy them to keep her grocery bill the lowest?
So you would have to, there's definitely an API to find actual grocery real-time pricing from a few different sources. Like I'm looking at Walmart has theirs open.
But why can't
Amazon has
ChatGPT
theirs
do
open.
that? Could it?
It could. You would just have to know how to prompt it. Because again, it's weird. ChatGPT versus Lovable from a building perspective. ChatGPT, you have to give it like very specific details. And I don't know if ChatGPT can like scrape technically and whatnot.
At this point, basically, it does a pretty good job. It gives me
estimates and stuff.
It does tell me like, out of those 3 stores, this is where I'd buy, this is where I buy that.
Okay.
And it would estimate what it's going to come out to be. But it's like, what it can't really do is be like, okay, you should buy this week at Sam's Club because
Yeah.
like the cost per unit, and we know you won't waste it based on the schedule. Like I want something that like really understands my unique dietary needs, my unique schedule, and the places I shop. And it doesn't quite, it certainly has saved me a lot of money,
Totally.
but I'm like, when I listen to you talk about Lovable, I'm
Yeah.
thinking these are the kind of problems I feel like can simplify and solve things like this.
Oh, totally. You could do the thing about, you basically would have to have a Lovable, inside of Lovable, you'd have the ability to take photos. So if you just want to take photos of your pantry and it can tell, oh, she buys the Trader Joe's avocado oil, like she buys the whatever Bonza chickpea pasta. So you just like allow for it to scan document. And then from there, you would have to have like essentially a certain time period, because if it would get expensive if you're like, we're constantly keeping tabs on every item in every person's pantry, that would get expensive. So if you decided, okay, most people generally get groceries on Sunday, Monday, so I'm going to run it every Saturday and do the scan across everybody's user account, across Walmart and Amazon and Aldi and whatever, and then source and put it together into a digest, essentially. Imagine like having, because I thought about too, oh, instead of those like weekly coupon things, inserts that we used to get in the mail, imagine having a weekly coupon insert that like is for all the things that you buy versus this random thing that you can't have because you have a dietary restriction. Like it's not helpful. And that's really where I see a lot of stuff going on. So what you're talking about is great because it's like personalization. People, and that's true. It's like, I don't want to have to go search for anything anymore. Like we're becoming lazy searchers. Like I want you to do the work for me. Bring me, based on my needs, based on what you know about me, what is most important to me, what is most relevant to me. And so it's like thinking about all the things that your people have to like weed through and figure out. The grocery thing is really helpful. You'd have to set it up from a cost perspective to make the most sense. And so you would have to determine, okay, on Saturdays is when all of it's happening and everybody gets their email Monday with the rundown, with their personalization, with their suggestions, that then is most likely OpenAI backed. So OpenAI is able to take all the pricing, take all the stuff, whittle it down, make the calculations, and serve people the digest.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And also, wow, I feel like this is definitely like the next level, but
yeah,
man, if you don't, if you want to be an online business, and especially if you're serving in the B2B markets, this certainly sounds like a way to set yourself apart.
Oh yeah, totally. Because it's now I'm like, I don't want to wait anymore. Like I've realized my patience levels already were low before, but now they're even lower. And I'm just like, why would I wait weeks for somebody to, grant, I already was like the done in a day girl. So now I'm like done in a minute like girl, where it's okay. Like I want my copy now. I want my suggestions now. It's so immediate.
I see how you likened it to the VIP day.
Totally.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I knew nothing about this before talking to you, and now I feel very enlightened. And so I hope everyone else who's listening feels very enlightened. And if they want to work with you to build their own, how can they do that?
Yeah, totally. If you have an idea that you're like, I've had this for years, and like so many people come to us with, oh, I've had this idea, but because it would have cost so much or would have taken forever, I've just never done it. So if that's of interest to you, you can definitely go to systemsavvy.com and check out our offerings there, which Microtool Mastery is right on there. And then if you just want to come hang, connect, whatever, Instagram's my place, System Save Me. And then I do have my podcast, but I'm having people borrow it right now, which is really fun. Save Me too. Basically, System Save Me everywhere is the easiest.
And we will certainly link to you in the show notes for all these places. And thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us today.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on today's episode, but your next step starts right now. If you're serious about selling digital products and want the AI-powered tools, expert strategy, and real human support to make it happen, then you need to check out the Empowered Business Society. Inside, you'll get AI-driven trainings to create and sell digital products faster, a private community for expert feedback and real-time support, exclusive access to the Monica Memo podcast, and if you go pro, you'll get monthly marketing shortcuts, live Q&As, and 20% off of the Empowered Shop perpetually. Because smart business owners sell smarter, they don't work harder. And the best part, you can get started for as little as $9. The best business growth happens when AI and real humans work together. Ready to make your next move? Join us inside of the Empowered Business Society. You can check us out at empoweredbusiness.co/society. See you in the next episode.